Miles Rideout, who is a vice president of exploration from Argentina Lithium and Energy Corp. The ticker on the OTCQX is LILIF. Let's go ahead and welcome Miles. Good morning.
Hello, Zunaid. Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. Look, I told you this on our prep call, but I have to tell you this in front of everybody. I absolutely love your last name. I think it's really cool. I'm jealous. I might have to change it after we get done here. But no, I really do appreciate you joining me. There's so much that's been happening in Argentina, not just the past couple of years with the World Cup, but also with the elections. And I promise we'll get to that. But before we do, just give me like a brief overview of what is it that your company does.
We are an exploration company. We're based in Vancouver. We're also on the Toronto Venture Exchange, and we're focused on exploring and then developing lithium brine deposits in northwest Argentina. It's a positive investment district and very pro mining. Both provinces where we're active have active mines and active lithium projects.
Now, we teased about the Argentina side of things. So taking everything that you just said, let's talk about the newly elected officials down there, right? We've seen how hyped the market was and how they responded to the elections that are happening. I mean, I've even seen on the timeline of Twitter or X about how the president likes to fly commercial and not private. But all that aside, though, the newly elected officials, how is that going to impact your sector? And more importantly, are there any catalysts that you can see coming on behalf of that?
President Javier Milei, who's the key person in this discussion, he's a libertarian and an economist, and I think he has a very good grasp of the issues in Argentina. The direction of his reforms are to decrease government spending and to increase private sector employment. And the key hurdles here would be getting a handle on the current inflation that is ongoing in Argentina, and to increase the amenability of commerce, and particularly international commerce in Argentina. Historically, Argentina has been a very inward-looking country, and typically with significant restraints on international commerce. So there will be a transition period. It's difficult to say what that might be, 6 months, a year, something like that. And then we should see the foreign investment pick up. And I think as well, the Argentine populace will be investing in their country also. That'll be exciting to see. What I don't anticipate is significant changes to the mining regulations. Mining is regulated through the provinces. And where we're active, the provinces are already pro-mining. What they see is on any producing project, they see a 3% net smelter royalty, and they see the reinvestment in the communities of Argentina's High Plain region, both really important factors for the provinces. So I think that we as miners will get support from all levels, from the federal level and from the provincial level on looking forwards.
You know, there's two things that I want to kind of quickly touch on. Inflation. I've got a business partner in Argentina. We set aside 15 minutes every week so you can complain to me about the inflation. So you're definitely spot on that point as well. And it's always good to have the federal government support. Like we saw EVs here in the States take off because of the tax breaks that a lot of people got when they purchased it. So it's good to hear that the federal government will be in favor of helping in terms of your sector. Inflation aside, let's talk about something else that's increasing, and that's also the demand for lithium in the battery sector, right? So what's the company's, say, long-term strategy for making sure that you're sustainable and you also have like a competitive supply in terms of lithium for the demand?
Sure. There's actually two factors which we have in mind when we look at the lithium brine market. One is the expanding lithium demand, and I think all lithium investors are well aware of that. The other is the revolutionary extraction technologies which are becoming more prevalent, and over the next few years will be the predominant extraction processes. So I'm talking about direct lithium extraction processing. If you look at the trend in our industry, because of the market demand, exploration companies have tended to focus on larger basins and also basins which might have lower grades. And I think that as these direct lithium extraction technologies become more prevalent, we'll see that trend accelerate. What that means then is we currently have 2 active projects where our exploration is currently focused. These would be mid-grade projects, each located adjacent to a major producer. And for down the road, we've claimed 2 very large basin-scale projects in areas where all drilling produces lithium brines, but typically lower-grade brines. So our view would be, as we get the 2 main projects moving towards production, these later stage projects would become the focus of our exploration. And what we would hope to achieve there would be to define large tonnage, lower grade resources suitable for direct lithium extraction. And that way, I think we can be expanding through the next 3 years, and then become hopefully a major player in the lithium space through the latter part of this decade.
So we've heard the game plan for the next 2 years for you to be a leader in that space. But let's talk about maybe the fact about how Argentina Lithium and Energy Corp is going to prioritize environmental sustainability, especially with the community engagement in your exploration and development activities, because that's definitely a concern for a lot of people.
Exactly. So all of our activities, we're looking at how we interact with the local communities. And to do that, then we're doing control visits with the local communities to our projects. We update the community leaders on our planning, and we consult them on our planning. And so everything we do is in relation to the communities. We're also hiring staff out of the communities. So technical, logistical, and support staff, and including nurses, are now being hired from these local communities. On the environmental side, again, we review the environmental impact of all of our activity, and we're trying to minimize and preferentially eliminate environmental impact. And that's at exploration stage. As we move forward to production, we will be reviewing our energy requirements and our transport requirements with a view to lessening the load, removing as much transport and energy requirement from the project as possible. And then finally, in terms of water, it's a critical area for our industry. And what we expect, or what we aim for, is once one of our projects goes into production, we would expect to see about 90% recycling of processed water. And so we'll be minimizing our water utilization.
I didn't expect to hear the water part of it. And this is why I'm always fascinated to have these conversations, because there's so many different things that go into making sure that we're not just profitable, but also that you do your ethical duties in terms of the environment as well. So I'm glad you brought up that last piece there. A couple more questions. One of them is going to be, we talked a little bit about the future, but I love to work in goals and milestones. So in that sense, what milestones or upcoming developments can investors and potential investors that are watching at home right now expect from Argentina Lithium and Energy Corp in the near future? Let's talk 2024, 2025, and beyond.
Right. Our current focus is our Rincon West project. That is about 5,000 hectares of basin located adjacent to Rio Tinto Mining's resource in the Rincon Salar. We have 12 exploration holes completed. The drilling's ongoing. Our maiden resource should be ready for publication, I would expect, late summer in North America. So likely that means September of this year. And then, work's going to be ongoing at Rincon West. We have newer properties that we've added. So we'll be drilling on Rincon West, even after that resource announcement, drilling right through the second half of this year and into next year. And we'll be making resource updates as that exploration work continues. Our second core project is the Antofalla North property. We don't have any drilling there yet. We're in permitting. Antofalla North is a 10,000 hectare property located adjacent to Albemarle Corporation. Albemarle has a very large resource, and of course, they're the world's second largest lithium producer. I expect that we'll have our drill permit by about the midpoint of this year. So as we begin drilling on our Antofalla North project, if we can produce similar grades to what Albemarle have produced on their property, well, that will be very exciting for our investors. That would signify that we could produce a very large resource at Antofalla North.
Well, I look forward to having the conversation mid-year whenever you do get that drilling permit, and so we can kind of catch up and see what's ahead as well. I'll turn the floor over to you. I mean, we've talked about the government, we've talked about inflation, we've talked about the future, but were there any other topics or final thoughts that you have before we let you go?
I just would like to provide some perspective for investors. If you're looking at the lithium space, lithium is, it's a growing industry. It's growing from essentially a very small business, say 15 years ago, exponentially into an energy adjacent business. And so I think that, I've always worked in mining, and I'm used to looking at copper and gold and things like that. But I think that we can expect lithium to have the swell of this exponential growth. And I think we also see that the major auto manufacturers will be consolidating their supply chains for supply lines for lithium. And so I think that we'll see a lot of investment from the automotive sector in our business over the next 5 years.
And I know we've got Jay Rice asking the question, is he electing new president? That's the first question I asked Jay Rice. See, you and I are on the same page. We're a fan of what the president is going to do for the lithium sector, it seems. And thank you so much, Miles. I really appreciate you hanging out with me here today.
Thank you very much.